Us. We're going to go, this is kind of a brief class because I know the bells are coming in a half an hour. So wanted to talk through stewardship a little bit and especially explain how to do the online stuff so people understand how that works. First thing, in the past we've had our time and talent sheet. You're used to getting that sheet where you go through all the different categories and check off things that you would like to sign up for. Just so you know, in case you'd rather do it that way, we still have those. We're asking people to pick them up in the office. If you prefer to do it using the old paper method, we do have those, and they're just in the office for people to get. And that includes the pledge form as well. So both of those are available. But as you probably have heard, if you haven't already heard, we've transitioned our whole church database to a new program called Serve and Keeper. This is, in the past, it was our whole database was on one computer. Any changes that were made had to go through that computer. We had to remember to tell the person in charge, which used to be Holly, to make those changes. And one little funny story that goes with it, part of the problem with that is we ended up each keeping our own little database then on our own computers. And so every staff member ended up with their own little database. You know, there was a mission trip database on Gretchen's, and I had confirmation and men's ministry on mine, and John had all the music stuff on his, and you know, everybody had their own little databases. So somebody would say to me or send me an email, "Oh, please change this," and I would change it to mine, you know, so they wouldn't get that same email. But then I maybe would forget to tell the office, and we'd have a lot of that going on. And one funny story is not so funny. We had one member that got upset about something and just said, "Please take me off your list," and to John. And so he did, but then I sent them another letter, and then they got a little more upset. You know, "I told you to please take me off your list." And then Gretchen sent a Sunday school email, "I told you, please take me," and it was escalating quite a bit. And about the fifth time, you know, "Take me off your list," we finally had to, you know, the whole staff come together and do, "Let's check our list and make sure." So now it's all in one place. It's in the cloud. Any change that's made, everyone gets, which is really helpful. In fact, literally, I had met somebody at coffee the other day, and "Could you change this for me?" And I was able to do it really quick. And so now everybody has that new information. And you can do your own changes as well. So it helps us with a lot of stuff: lists, emails, reports, mailings. All our financial record keeping will be in there soon. We're going to start doing it in January, where it's actually, we've entered all the past stuff, which is actually made a little wonky because we entered it all at one time. It looks like it all came in this year, the past 3 years. So if you look at your pledge information on the portal, it might look really big for 3 years, you know, worth. So that, just mindful of that, you can try and say, "Just show me this year," and things like that. But all your pledge information is in there, which is really nice. And you can then go and look at that in the future to know if something's posted or you got it credited the right way. It helps out with that. So that's some of the stuff. It also has all sorts of other modules that we can get into. One that we're already using is attendance tracking. So we could literally have everybody check in at worship. We could do that. We won't do that. Although we can do just a quick count, so the ushers always count. We can just enter that number in, which then helps us to track attendance, and it gives us as leaders a whole bunch of tools that let us to see, you know, how's our trends, how's summer look, how is Christmas and Easter. I mean, it gives us data that's really helpful to be able to pull up, and especially after we've been using it a while. And one thing we're not doing yet, but we are doing the verified volunteers, so we can do background checking of anyone. For example, anyone going on a mission trip that's going to be staying overnight with kids. We need to do background checks on them. People that work one-on-one with kids need background checks. A lot of that, and other security issues that way. one possible future thing, we have purchased the module, but we're not using it yet, is doing nursery and Sunday school check-ins and check-outs. So you can use the system to, parents can tell us, only these adults can check out my kids. And so they have to pre-register them with us. And then they have all sorts of ways to do that. They've got fingerprint scanning, they've got lots of different things you can do if you really want to get into that. But we're trying to get into a system where it's not so willy-nilly, which I hate to say is kind of where we're at. Sunday school ends and kids go find their parents. Now, we don't do that with the little kids. They have to be released to their parents. But first or fifth graders, if you're a fifth grader, you might have a junior kindergartner sibling that they would just go find and meet their parents there. So there's some of that kind of how do we make sure kids are safe. And there is a whole module that we have that once we get everything going, I think we will start to look to. But the big thing is there is a personal portal for each of us. So if you have a phone and want to do it, if you want to do this way, we set up a tiny URL. Do you know what those are? Instead of the really long address that you have to type and you always miss something and it always gets wrong, we created a tinyurl.com/St. Matt's portal, just to try to make it memorable. And you can get into your own portal. I sent out another link this morning where if you click on that link, it inserts your email that we have for you, and then you just create a password and you're in. We are using the household email for your household. So we may have guessed on that. So what you might think is the household email might not be what we think is what we've got in the system as your family's or your household's email. So it's important to us, if you're not getting any of our emails, that's why. We've got the wrong email in there, or maybe an old email, or one that you never checked. So that's what the help desk is supposed to be helping us with. Unfortunately, today we're having a lot of Wi-Fi issues, and so, of course, on the day we really want to, Murphy is here and living well. So that's an issue. But getting into the portal, you've got a whole bunch of things, and we're trying to do the stewardship program through this now. In the portal, you have access to all your own information. So you have your family's information, and that would be for everyone that you consider in that household. You can edit that information. You can change phone numbers. You can unlist phone numbers, so you can have it for us to have, but then you can click a box that says, please do not list this anywhere, and it'll just come up as unlisted. You can also do that with emails and also your address. So in the directory, it'll show up how you want it to show up. But the value of having it there is that you can also go to the directory right through the portal, and I wanted to pull it up. And you can edit all of your information. So through the portal, you've got the household at the top, and you can click on that. You can go to each individual profile and change individually. So like if Noah's at college, you can put his new address, those kind of things. And each person can have their own phone in there. Each person can have their own email. In the past, we only had one email field. And in order to do multiples, we had to put a semicolon between them, which doesn't also translate when you try to pass that off to a different program. It often has troubles. But you can go in and change, and you can also upload your own photo and change anything for your own personal information on all that. So it really makes it nice, especially for us to have current, accurate information for you. And if we ever need to get a hold of you, staff sends out grouping emails, so like sending out to the library group, we can do that. Sending out to the 7th graders, we can, or saints, or we've got then current information. And I can even put out an iPad in front of a group, and with the list of people, and they literally for attendance, you just tap it and check your name. So I do that at confirmation now, and the kids just check their name off, and now I know who is all there and who needs to go back and do review work, that kind of thing. For stewardship, the way we're doing our time and talent sheet is through the involvement tab. So we have the ability to choose a bunch of fields that can show up here that you can edit. And the way we've done this is we've chosen 3. So there's a general skills one, which is essentially, do you paint, do you cross stitch, do you, all the general skills that you enjoy doing. You can go through and click those for each person. Each person can choose their own stuff and mark off who you are. So that way, if we're looking for someone to bake bread, bake cookies, someone to do photography, someone to help with plumbing, someone to help with, anything else, we've got that list of generals that we can go back and look to. Allergies, that's one of the things that we have on there. If you're worried about long sermons and it just gets you a little anxious, that can be one of those things you can put in there. How was my sermon? Was my sermon too long this morning? I don't know. But depends if it was good or not. If it's good, it's never long enough, right?
If you want,
yeah.
anyone who's a carpenter, you can just do a search and all the people who have carpentry.
I can do a search on the field, the general skills field, and type in click carpentry, and it'll show me everybody that's clicked on that. Yeah, so it really makes it helpful for us to really do a lot of searching and looking for things. So once this really gets going, it's going to be really helpful to us. The big thing, though, is the activities. Activities is essentially, like I showed you earlier, the old school time and talent sheet. We've taken every one of those where you could check them off. They've each one become a box. And so we've grouped them because we know certain people don't want to work with kids, certain people don't want to do anything with music, certain people don't want to, if you're a man, you're not going to get involved in the women's ministry. If you're a woman, you're not getting, you go through, and so we've grouped them, and you can just go through and easily see by grouping what you're more involved in and click on those items. So it shouldn't take real long to click off the, 5, 10 boxes that you really want to click off. And then as soon as you hit save, we now have that information. What used to take us literally months, we usually started next Sunday. We'd put out the packets, and then the captains would come get those packets, deliver them, and then people would fill them out and get them back to us. That was often a month-and-a-half process. Sometimes the packets would sit there for 3 weeks before they'd actually get to people's homes. And then when they came back to us, literally Sue Swing would take them one by one, look at it in comparison to what's in the system, and make the changes and save. And that would, each one would be 5 minutes or so. It would take her literally, she set her goal to end of January to get those done. So it's about a 3-month process for getting those done. Literally doing this, as soon as you hit save, we have it. It's done. And you can even go back and change it if you're like, I'm going to add one, I'm going to add 5 more. I'm really anxious. So that's how we're doing time and talent. Again, if you don't want to mess with any of this, you'd just rather do it with a paper, we still have those available down in the office. You just have to ask for them at the office. Then we also, for that little card that you fill out for your financial pledge, we have created a Google form that just walks you through it. And you click on, to get to it, you click on the links. That links tab is really handy for the portal, by the way. A really kind of a simple way for you to get to places. So if you're ever like, I want to go look up this old voice, you click on the links, and we've got all the key online links that you would want listed there. So if you want to get to the Facebook page, if you want to get to the church calendar, if you want to get to the bulletins and pull up an old bulletin, if you want to find the weekly announcements, if you want to find the voice newsletters from the past, you want to get to the church library and look up a book in our tiny catalog, and search under certain topics. That's a great way to find them. All of our YouTube videos, all of our adult ed for the last 8 years is up there. So we've been doing worship now for almost 2 years. We're really struggling with the live streaming right now. YouTube has cut us off for some reason. We're trying to resolve that. But we still record it and then upload it later. So it's not live. It goes up a couple hours later. But you can get to it and you can watch the old videos. Or if you want to hear the choir sing. And we even got a new piece of equipment today where we can fade between cameras, so that's kind of cool. Anyway, the volunteer schedule, online pictorial directory, the website. And then if you just have a question, you can click on that. It takes you right to an email form that you just fill that out, and it'll send it to us with your question. But the one I wanted to emphasize today is that pledge form. You click on that. We just made it live Friday morning, and gets you there. And it takes you to a Google form that literally we've tried to make it as simple as possible, very basic, it gets you through. By the way, did everyone get your giving statement letter? You should have gotten it. It was supposed to be in your home by Friday. So hopefully you got it in the mail. The normal third quarter giving statement is show what you've given year to date. But in that, I've given real specific instructions on how to do all this. So if you look in there, we tied it to the giving statement because we know people will say, well, what did I pledge last year? Now you've got your giving statement, you've seen what you've given, and it shows you year to date, and it shows you your pledge amounts. So now you know, right there. And we actually, then on the back of it, have the instructions how to go in and do this. So we put them on the same page, so you couldn't even, you'd have to lose the whole page, and then, you know, which people can do too. But, so we tried to make it real simple for people to get in. So that mailing is hopefully very helpful to do. Now, we're having trouble with the Wi-Fi, but I wanted to try and show you how we do this. And so I'm going to turn this off for a second so I can get in there. I'm going to see if our Wi-Fi will support us to do this. So give me 1 second because I wanted to walk you through that pledge form. So far, so good. So far, so good. Okay, well, maybe it's working again. So, let me put this back up there. All right. So, let me blow that up for you. So, when you get to this pledge form, it's pretty simple. Just a basic information. If you have questions, you click on that, which takes you to sending us an email or call us. But you start off just by putting in your name. We ask that you do it last first so we can sort easily later. And then whatever household or whatever email actually on this, we're actually going to have to do a little bit of manual labor on this, taking this off of a Excel sheet. But give us a little bit of information just to make sure we know who you are. And then you can either choose to keep your pledge the same, no, keep my pledge the same amounts, and then move on, which then allows you to then complete the Simply Giving form if you'd like to enroll in your automatic monthly giving or weekly giving or however you want to do it weekly. But it allows you to fill this out right here. Or you say, no, actually I'm gonna change my amounts. You click on the yes and move on. Then it takes you into the general fund appeal. So when you look at that little card, we use the same structure. So whatever you'd like to give to a general ministry, which supports all those things, benevolence, staff costs, office expenses, worship and music, much more. You can if you want to just keep it the same, you can keep it the same, or if you want to put in a different amount, you can do that and then say, I want it to be a yearly contribution. Got a nice picture there. And then click next. It takes you to the next form, which is the debt retirement building improvement. So it's all about the building and the debt retirement for that building. Again, you can choose to either keep it the same as last year or adjust it. We'll leave this one as keep it the same. Got some example pictures of the work that does. Next. And then you've got the choice to do others. So some people, like myself, support, for example, Tanzania scholarships. If you want to do one of those, yes. And then it gives you a couple examples. El Salvador food shipments, hunger. Or you just say, pastor's candy fund, You can choose something completely different. And by the way, you can always, what a lot of people don't know is if you would like to give to another organization that normally St. Matthew's would support, Habitat for Humanity, Luther Manor, Maida House, any of the ministries that we're involved in, if you would normally give to them, you can do it through us. And you can put that on here. And 100% of that money we will forward to them. Okay? And then the nice thing is we actually get credit for it too. So we get to put it down that we gave to Maida House because of you. So if you ever want to do that and you just want one giving statement instead of 20 that you have to record, you can do it through us. And that's one way to do it. So then you would put the amount, 100,000 towards Candy Fund, that's great. And then if you have no others, you just leave them blank. But you move on, nice picture of our cross ministry, and then you click next. And then again, this always, at the very end of whatever choice you make, at the very end it gives you the option to get into Simply Giving. It really helps us out. You would not believe how that balances out our budget, because having that come in a real even stream, it just really helps with everything. So if you can do that, that's great. If you don't want to, that's completely understandable. Or if you're already enrolled and you don't need to do anything, that's great. You can click whatever. Once you're done, it takes you to the end and you just hit submit. So it's pretty simple. The Simply Giving asks you a few more details about your bank, routing number, those kind of things. If you are enrolling, if you're already enrolled, it just asks you what amounts you want to change to. So it's pretty simple. But so we tried to make this really simple and usable. Then as soon as it's done, it enters into a spreadsheet for us, and so we can go and see everyone that's entered their stuff, and then we can sort those by name, and it helps us for entering that data into the computer. And Brian might even be able to figure out a way to actually dump it in through an automated process, which would help us out for the data entry. So this is stewardship. This is the change we're doing this year. Again, it really helps us with getting the information in there quickly. It helps us, literally knowing beginning October versus knowing by December what we're starting to look at really makes a difference for us. So it's going to be really helpful. But we completely understand that some people just want to do what they know to do. Paper, that's fine. We have those available in the office if you want to do it that way as well. But it really helps. D. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. So you can either go for the portal. So one of the simple ways to do it is just tinyurl.com. tinyurl.com / St. Matt's portal. So if you know the tinyurl system, that's how a lot of people use that. Ours is St. Matt's portal, STMATTS portal, PORTAL. We also have a tinyurl for the steward for this form, and that's tinyurl.com / St. Matt's pledge. So that takes you to that then.
The first one will get you there. When you click on links.
If you click on that links, it's at the top at the links.
So you don't need the second.
You don't need the second one, right. I'm going to double check something now that I said that. tinyurl.com / St. Matt's pledge. St. Matt's pledge form. That's what I thought. I'm like, I bet I had form on there. Works. tinyurl.com / St. Matt's pledge form. Okay. So that helps. Yeah, Kevin.
Okay, I'm sorry, I have to ask.
Sure.
So this is great for you guys.
Right.
What about your provider? What is their privacy statement?
Their provider, the servant keeper.
Because I mentioned a lot of institutions are using that.
Mm-hmm.
What do they do with that information? That'd be great for me as
I-
someone that they are approached by and say, I don't see this guy's information, but this much, and here's this.
Well, they don't look at the information servant keeper. It's in the cloud. It's encrypted.
Has anyone looked at
Well, I know in terms of our data, it's all encrypted. So, and that's a big thing that they really talked about is security and protection of security and all those kind of things. So I would say, you know, all we can do is trust them in that. You know, just like Target and everybody else that you have issues with. Sure. Sure, sure. Right, right, right. So that's I mean, what we've been insured is that they're doing all that they need to do to encrypt it and be careful. And I'm not an expert in that, so if you wanted to help us with that, at being an expert, you know, somebody that knows the question asked, I'm be happy to work with you and double check it. But I know we got this is a national program that is one of those highly recommended programs. It also came recommended to us through a group of an audit group that does church auditing, and they recommended it. And so that was one group that we received the recommendation from and trust a lot as well. So again, at some point you kind of, you know, rubber meets the road and you just go with it. But the hope is it's all good, and you hope you know, no horrible things happen. But
Even if you go with the old hard, you don't think of also the data in some of this program and
yes. Yep. So it's all the data that we have is in the cloud that way. Yes. So everything we have. So you'd have to literally not give us any information and say, I want it all removed from your computer to not be in the database. And then you wouldn't get any of our stuff. You wouldn't get the voice. You wouldn't get I mean, we're not going to keep a paper system that we'd then go to and type it in each time. So, yeah. So, but if there's certain emails, like some people have like a junk email that you don't really worry about and you want all your stuff to enter into there, that's what we could use as your email. If you have a phone number that you're not concerned about, I mean, you can choose that. That's all your choice on how you want your data to be used. And again, you can unlist it so nobody in the congregation sees it. We'll still have access to it as a staff and, you know, in regards to all that. So does that make sense? But again, we have a lot of hope for it, and I think it will. We're already seeing big benefits for us and the things we can do, and you know, I think it's gonna be really nice. So, but again, a big thanks to everyone for your pledging, your support. This really helps us to budget and plan for next year, to know where we're going to be, but also think about how the ministry will change based on involvement and people getting involved in stuff. That's also a major part to this. How do we encourage people to get involved in different ministries? So, any other questions? Good. Well, thanks. There's still more treats, so help yourself. Have a good day.